Welcome to another episode of Candid Classroom, where we dive into the policies and issues shaping education in America. Our goal is to break down complex topics, uncover the data behind the debates, and empower you to engage in the conversation. On today's episode, we dive into Title I funding, what it is, why it's important, and its uncertain future in the face of shifting policy debates. Title I funding, part of the Elementary and Secondary Education Act of 1965, was designed to address educational inequities by allocating federal dollars to schools with high percentages of students from low-income families. Education has long been recognized as a cornerstone of social progress, yet not all schools have equal access to resources. Recent debates, including proposals by former President Donald Trump to dismantle the Department of Education, have brought Title I funding and federal involvement in education to the forefront of policy discussions. This exploration examines how Title I funding works, its impact, the challenges it faces, and the potential consequences of reducing federal oversight, using data to illuminate the discussion. Title I funding is allocated based on the number of low-income students enrolled in a school or district. The U.S. Department of Education oversees this process, ensuring funds reach schools that need them most. According to a 2021 report by the Department of Education, over 50,000 public schools across the United States benefit from Title I funding, collectively serving more than 24 million students each year. Schools use these funds to hire additional staff, purchase educational technology, and create intervention programs tailored to their students' needs. For instance, many schools have used these funds to reduce student-to-teacher ratios, which studies show can significantly improve learning outcomes in early grades. Schools can implement Title I funding through school-wide programs that enhance resources for all students or through targeted assistance for specific students most in need. Engaging families in decision-making processes and requiring accountability measures to demonstrate progress in closing achievement gaps have been critical components of Title I's implementation. Title I funding has been transformative for many schools, providing much-needed resources to improve outcomes for underserved communities. For example, a report by the National Center for Education Statistics highlights that schools receiving Title I funds have reduced student-to-teacher ratios, which research shows is particularly beneficial for early learners. Access to updated technology and learning materials has also been a key success. The Education Trust noted in 2019 that 62% of Title I schools had utilized funds to enhance digital learning tools, helping bridge the digital divide. Funding for extracurricular and summer programs has proven valuable as well. A 2017 RAND Corporation study found that such programs improved attendance and academic performance, providing students with additional opportunities to succeed. Federal data reveals that reading scores among English learners and students with disabilities improved by 15% due to targeted support provided through Title I programs. Over the past 2 decades, graduation rates in Title I schools have increased by 10%, narrowing the gap with non-Title I schools. Despite its successes, Title I funding faces several challenges. A 2020 report from the Government Accountability Office pointed out inequities in how funds are distributed. Larger districts often receive a disproportionate share of funding, leaving rural schools underfunded despite their significant needs. The financial scope of Title I is another concern. According to the National Education Association, Title I funds typically cover only 8% of a school's budget. In a 2018 survey, 60% of principals in Title I schools reported that these funds were insufficient to meet their students' needs. Accountability measures tied to Title I funding have also faced criticism. A Brookings Institution study from 2017 revealed that nearly half of the teachers in Title I schools felt pressure to prioritize tested subjects, often at the expense of arts and physical education. Additionally, administrators have cited limited flexibility in how funds can be used. According to a 2019 survey by the National Center for Education Statistics, 30% of school leaders said restrictions hindered their ability to address local challenges effectively. The prospect of dismantling the Department of Education poses significant risks to Title I as well. Without federal oversight, a National Education Association analysis estimates a potential $15 billion annual shortfall, threatening the program's stability. Advocates for Title I reform emphasize simplifying the funding formula to make distribution more equitable. The Center for American Progress suggested in 2021 that redirecting $1.2 billion annually to underserved districts could address some of these inequities. Increasing federal investment in Title I is another widely supported proposal. The Education Trust argues that an additional $20 billion annually could fully fund the program, providing schools with the resources necessary to meet modern educational demands. Expanding flexibility for schools to allocate funds based on local needs is also a key focus, though it must be balanced with accountability to ensure effective use of resources. Conversely, proposals to dismantle the Department of Education, such as those endorsed by former President Trump, could undermine these efforts. Without federal oversight, disparities between states could widen. For example, states like New York, which invest over $20,000 per pupil annually, might maintain robust educational programs, while states contributing as little as $5,000 per pupil could see their schools fall further behind. Historical data from the 1990s shows that states with less federal oversight were more likely to misuse funds, highlighting the importance of maintaining a strong federal role in education policy. Title I funding remains a cornerstone of efforts to ensure educational equity in the United States. While it has made significant strides, challenges such as inequitable distribution and insufficient funding continue to hinder its potential. Proposals to eliminate the Department of Education raise serious questions about the future of Title I and federal involvement in education. By addressing funding gaps, reducing inequities, and fostering innovation, policymakers can strengthen Title I's impact and ensure it continues to transform lives. As engaged citizens, we must advocate for policies that prioritize education as a fundamental right, ensuring that all students, regardless of their socioeconomic background, have access to quality schooling. What do you think about the current state of Title I funding and the role of federal oversight? Share your thoughts and ideas in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe for more episodes of Candid Classroom, where we explore education policies shaping our world. And above all, don't forget to be candid.